Has Dr. Joel helped make your life a little happier and healthier? Consider supporting the show for as little as $1 a month so we can continue to bring you the content you love. Just go to patreon.com/JoelWade. That's patreon.com/JoelWade. $1 a month. It's all we ask.
You are now listening to the Mastering Happiness podcast with Dr. Joel Wade.
Is the world a safe place? Is it a good place? Is it alive, enticing? Or is it a dangerous place, a bad place, a mechanistic place? A place where exploration is not worth the risk? Our deep beliefs, our primal beliefs about these things may have a tremendous effect on our lives. And when we change them for the better, they can change our lives for the better too. Let's explore this a bit today. I'm Joel Wade, and welcome to my podcast. Our deepest beliefs can be a hard thing to pin down, in part because they tend to be the atmosphere in which we live. If I believe the world is a very dangerous place, no matter how safe it actually is, I won't see the safety, only the danger. My beliefs color everything I do, every interaction, every decision, everything I imagine will be filtered through the lens of those beliefs. The personal tragedies we see from the danger that does exist will fill our vision, while all the tragedy that isn't happening almost all the time won't register for us, like some innocuous background music in a horror movie. How do we measure whether the world is safe or dangerous, good or bad? There is no set quantity of safe. It's a very personal judgment. Santa Cruz, California in 2019 is a much safer place than parts of Chicago or Honduras, and orders of magnitude safer than just about anywhere on Earth a few hundred years ago, and much safer than even a few decades ago. A place can be more or less safe compared to other places that are more or less safe. Likewise, good is a word that has meaning in relation to something that is worse or better. In other words, these are not facts, they're beliefs. And according to new research by Jer Clifton, what we believe about the world, particularly in these four categories of what he calls primal beliefs, may have a tremendous impact on what we become in life and on the degree of joy and suffering we experience, sometimes even more than the personality traits we were born with. Our primal beliefs tend to be as stable and can predict elements of well-being and behavior as well as the most stable elements, after IQ, that psychologists measure, what are called the Big Five personality traits: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. What I'm talking about today is drawn from Clifton's work. A primal belief is different from a religious belief, a political belief, an ethical belief. Those are specific areas of belief, and they tend to be articulated and reflected on to some degree. They can also be expressed and thought about in ways that are complex and precise. A primal belief, on the other hand, according to Clifton, has four main properties. They are more general than any other kind of belief. They're beliefs about everything. They're not about people or nature. They're about all of life, or the world. The world is a dangerous place is a primal belief. My neighborhood is a dangerous place is not. A primal belief is also extremely simple. The world is alive is a primal belief, while the world is comprised of multitudes of ecosystems integrated together into a fabric of mutual interconnection is not. A primal belief describes simply what the world is, not why or how it is, or who created it. The world is a good place is a primal belief. The world is filled with good people, or things are getting better, are not. A primal belief is also focused entirely on essence. The world is enticing is a primal belief, while the world has many fascinating sights and experiences to explore is not. Because of the general, simple, descriptive, and essential quality of primal beliefs, They're also experienced on a gut level, and people often may never have even identified them as beliefs at all. They're often relatively unexplored assumptions, and those assumptions may have a tremendous impact on how we live, how we think, the choices we make, and the nature that we bring to the world. If I believe that the world is a fascinating place with endless adventures and curiosities, then I'll see those things. I'll be absorbed and interested, even if my surroundings are relatively simple and sparse. What's more, from within our beliefs, people with different beliefs from ours can appear very strange indeed. If I believe that the world is dull and ugly, and exploration is almost never worth the trouble, then somebody who sees the world as enticing and sees adventure everywhere will seem to us foolish and naive. When we understand another person's primal beliefs, what they do makes perfect sense. What they do will appear to include the best actions possible from within their beliefs. But of course, understanding someone else's primal beliefs when they're different from our own can be challenging to actually do. We'd have to first know what our own primal beliefs are, and then deliberately stand outside of them to get a clearer view of both our own beliefs and those of the other person. But doing that is well worth the challenge, because there's an opportunity to really understand people with very different views from our own, and therefore also to understand our own beliefs more clearly and fully, which also makes it possible to reassess them, and, if appropriate, to change them. For example, why would someone who believes the world is mechanical, without awareness or intent, ever pray or meditate or seek to feel the vibrancy of nature? It would just seem like nonsense to them. On the other hand, a person who has experiences of relational patterns, who has a sense that there's a larger reality that we can interact with in a meaningful way, would look at a person who believes differently as disconnected, missing out on a quality of deep beauty and connection. Why would someone who believes the world is fundamentally a bad place seek or experience a sense of optimism, gratitude, or trust? How silly that would seem. And yet, these beliefs are fundamentally stories we tell ourselves about the world. The facts of the world exist, to the extent we can measure them. But then, what we do with those facts, the meaning we make of them, the stories we create around them, may have such a huge bearing on our quality of life that it's worth turning the light of our consciousness toward them, to see if we may be telling ourselves a story that's not helpful, or not even true. What's so very exciting about this new research, from where I sit, is that we may have a lot more to say about our experience of living and the qualities of joy and engagement in life than we ever thought possible. Our primal beliefs provide a universal framework for us to understand the world. If that framework shifts, other elements of our understanding can follow. We tend to see what we expect to see. We tend to confirm our own beliefs through how we interpret our experience. We also tend to construct the stories through which we remember our experience according to our expectations and beliefs. So, our memories support what we expect to see in the future as well. If I believe that the world is a living, vibrant place, I'll tend to be drawn to experiences and circumstances that are more vibrant, and I'll feel deeply that vibrancy and know that my primal belief is true. If I believe that the world is mechanical, I'll tend to be drawn to experiences and circumstances where it is indeed more mechanical, and I'll feel in my bones the mechanistic quality of the world that I expect. We can, through understanding how powerful these beliefs are, have greater empathy for those with different beliefs from our own. We can know that, from within their beliefs, their actions make perfect sense, whether or not they make any sense at all to us. I used to believe that the world was much more dangerous than I do now. Then I started reading more specifically about the history of violence, starting with Lawrence Keeley's book, War Before Civilization, and culminating in reading Steven Pinker's book, The Better Angels of Our Nature. and seeing the rock-solid data on just how far we've come, how miraculously less violent and more empathetic we are than our not-so-distant ancestors, helped me put all the noise about our awful, violent world that we get continuously from the media, politicians, TV, movies, etc., in a completely different context. Through re-examining specific beliefs about violence in the world, the course of history, and through beginning to see a different pattern emerge about the nature of humanity, that there are indeed better angels of our nature, and that those angels have been winning, steering us through the thoughts and actions of multitudes of ancestors and contemporaries affecting our human culture toward a safer, more expansive existence. My primal belief about the world and whether it's a safe place or not also shifted. And with it, my happiness increased, my worry decreased, and my stress level decreased as well. I don't want to give the impression that our primal beliefs are frivolous, to be changed here or there as we change a piece of clothing. Most of us come by our beliefs through our own experiences and the sense we've made of those experiences. They provide continuity and structure to our life's unfolding story. And according to Clifton, it's not so much that we hold on to our primal beliefs out of fear, but that our primal beliefs comfort us, giving us a sense that we've grasped the nature of the world and our place in it. There's no ideal set of beliefs that we should all share equally. We're much too complicated, and our experiences are too unique for that. There's also probably a benefit to all of us to have a wide range of primal beliefs bouncing around out there, keeping us wondering and exposed to other views. These aren't things to shove around lightly, or expect others to shove around lightly in themselves. But there may be benefits to moving more towards certain beliefs of the world. It's easier to be more optimistic when we see the world as basically good. We tend to be less neurotic when we see the world as safer. It's easier to be curious and grateful when we see the world as more enticing. And we tend to sense more meaning in life when we see the world as more alive. There are 3 actions I'd like you to consider taking from this. First, it's worth exploring your own primal beliefs about the world. Perhaps, like me, you may be able to move one of these in a more positive direction through simply reading a book. Sometimes just knowing where we stand in this regard can allow for some movement in our primal beliefs. Second, it's worth paying attention to what we expect from the world according to our primal beliefs, so we can sometimes question our assumptions, wonder how much we're confirming our own biases, and consider what we might do differently if those expectations aren't as accurate as we've assumed. And third, it's also worth wondering, when we're feeling perplexed by the strange actions of another person, how their deep beliefs may be different from our own, and how their actions may make sense from within the perspective of their beliefs. I'm going to be looking at this differently myself. How about joining me? Let's pay attention for the next couple of weeks to what our primal beliefs are, specifically on these 4 questions. Is the world fundamentally safe or dangerous? Is the world fundamentally alive or mechanical? Is the world fundamentally enticing or boring? And is the world fundamentally good or bad? It may be that we can shift our well-being and happiness in a more positive direction, and maybe even find some greater empathy for those we had previously had a hard time understanding. Seems like a worthwhile experiment to me. A Master's Course in Happiness is a monthly, in-depth program to help you actively, purposefully, and effectively live a happier, more fulfilling life. This course is designed to teach you the skills and principles that you need to bring the best you have to offer, inside and out. Over the course of 12 months, we'll explore what I've found are many of the fundamentals of living well. Through audio, video, and written material, you're supported to learn and practice specific actions each month that will strengthen you, inspire you, and enable you to lean into life more fully. These are skills and principles for self-mastery across all the circumstances and personalities I have ever worked with for nearly 4 decades, based on solid research and experience. And right now, exclusively for my listeners, you can experience the Master's Course in Happiness at a great discount. Use promo code MH, the number 1, promo, in all capitals, to get this $467 course for only $295 today. Visit www.drjoelwade.com. That's drjoelwade.com now, and use promo code MH1PROMO to receive this amazing course for only $295. A Master's Course in Happiness is designed to give you the most powerful skills that I can offer in a course. It will give you the tools and knowledge to apply yourself fully to the mission of mastering yourself. That's www.drjoelwade.com, promo code MH, the number 1, promo, all in capitals.